This is Acceptable Vices for September 11th, 2015. Tonight, airplanes. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Victor Frost, and this is Acceptable Vices. Here on the show tonight, it's just us boys. We've got Nelson. Hey, Nelson.
What are computers?
A miserable
They
pile
are
of
computers. Oh no! I peaked the meter there. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I tagged the top of my noise gate too. Sorry for shouting at you, listeners. We still love you.
We do love you. We love
Well,
you
that
so
sounds-
much. We're gonna make it not shouty at you. There we go.
That actually
and
sounded
hey.
slightly abusive there.
Yeah. How you doing,
Cool.
Sherbs?
Yeah, I'm alright. I got the van going, which is good.
Yeah.
I thought there was a problem with the starter motor, so we crawled underneath and fucking pulled off the covers and got into the starter motor and battered it with a hammer and tried to give it a go. Nah, it just clicked. Then nothing. Oh, that's weird.
Oh.
And I was losing all electrics whenever I hit the ignition, until I took a terminal off the battery and put it back on. I'm like, oh, okay, so it wasn't that. So I'm like, maybe it's a stuck Bendix spring. So I've got one of my big fucking spanners, gone in there, whacked it on the harmonic balancer, and turned the whole engine backwards from the harmonic balancer. Because if you've got a stuck Bendix spring, reversing it will allow it to pop back. So handy tip for you all. Got in, hit the ignition. Nah, not a carrot. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, is it the battery? And we've tested the battery. Battery's fine, battery's full, no dead cells or anything. Couldn't figure out what it was until I was putting the battery terminal back on after another attempt. I'm like, oh, that's a bit loose. Oh, well, while it's loose, I'll just take it off and clean it up. So I've unscrewed the bolt. As soon as I unscrewed the bolt, I figured out what the problem was. The bolt that holds my secondaries and my ignition terminals together was so corroded that it was just making a dead short. Like right next to the positive terminal. So as soon as I took it all apart, replaced the bolt and cleaned it up with a wire brush, no, it worked. Fucking brilliant. Perfect. Not a problem at all. I feel like a fucking idiot.
Beautiful. Well, corrosion will get you more often than you'd expect. It's like, oh, such a simple problem, but nope. It's like the last thing so many people check on.
Hey man, my van is not corroding. I prefer to call it dynamic weight reduction.
Haha, okay. Some material, a dynamic materials conversion process, perhaps.
Yes, exactly. I'm also creating speed holes. Yeah, they make you go faster. You see them all on the hoods of all the fast cars, so they must make you go faster, don't they?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Fucking speed
So,
holes, mate.
Nelson, you were you being on this show tonight was predicated on an interesting incident. Would you care to share what that incident was?
Yes, so I was going to go to MagFest. It was going to be fun. Not full MagFest, only half MagFest.
Oh.
There you go. And I was going to go down there and help staff the convention. So yesterday, which was a Thursday, I was going to get on a plane, and then I was going to go down there, and then I was going to come back. Well, I went to the airport, JFK. I went to my gate, and the flight was delayed. And that happens because apparently there was a massive thunderstorm bearing down on the entire East Coast. Or at least the routes right between D.C. and New York, which are fairly well used. And so it was delayed for like 2 hours, and then the plane actually got to the gate. It was amazing. And all the people disembarked, and they cleaned it up, and we got on the plane. It was a tiny, I forgot what kind of plane it was, but it was the tiny, like, one seat, and then the aisle, and then 2 more seats.
It was like a turboprop, right?
Yeah, well, it was a tiny plane. And we got on, and we waited at the gate for a little bit, like a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And I actually, because I had been looking at the FAA advisory things that were being posted, and I was trying to decipher the plain language. It's pun. It's not very plain language.
I like the idea of just Nelson going out in the tarmac and like holding his arms up in front of a plane and being like.
So I was looking, and shit was hitting the fan, basically. Like, there were advisories for route changes, and there were ground holds, and things were happening that did not look good for flying that day.
Not good things.
Not good things. So at some point, right before we were about to leave, I actually called the flight attendant over, and I was like, hey, would it be possible for me to just deplane and leave? Because I only had a carry-on. I travel very light. And they were like, usually yes, but we are literally about to close the door. So then they closed the door. And we taxied for half an hour. And we just took a nice little loop around the JFK runway system. It's a very complicated runway system.
I can imagine.
And eventually, the captain brought us to a little place way out in the boonies, and basically just parked the plane for a little while.
I like to imagine it was an Italian restaurant there.
Yeah,
he's taking you out somewhere nice.
Yeah, we dotted around for a little bit, and then he took us over to like a very out of the way place. And he turned off the engine.
This is becoming less like a pleasant date and very much more like a crime report.
Yeah, well,
to an out of the way place.
He turned off the engine, and then half an hour went by, and then came the we're going to be delayed for a half an hour situation. Which, if you've ever seen the television show 30 Rock, there was an excellent scene when Tina Fey was dating the pilot, and she was the passenger, and they were stuck on the tarmac for numerous hours, and it kept being like, oh, it's going to be half an hour more, half an hour more. And eventually the scene ends with her threatening to hijack the plane, and the pilot pulling a gun on her. It is a very intense scene. But so
I can imagine Tina Fey trying to fly a plane.
Well, they were still on the ground, and so were we. So we sat there for a little over 2 hours, and then
at half-hour increments.
At half-hour increments, of course. And as I was sitting there, I was looking at the FAA advisories. And it was like, all right, all the inland routes are fucked. We're going to do the overseas routes. And like half an hour later, the captain was like, we're getting a new route. We're going to go out to sea a little bit. And then about half an hour after that, I saw an advisory that was like, so fuck the overseas routes. We're going to only do transcontinental routes, and you have to go like this if you want to go down.
Over Canada and whatever.
Well, like over, like into the middle of the country and then back to the East Coast. Presumably stopping at an airport along the way, I would imagine.
Yeah, because those little planes, I don't know.
Yeah, so then half an hour went by, and I saw an FAA advisory that said, all right, DCA, the Reagan Airport, is ground stopped. So no, there will be no planes happening at DCA. And about half an hour later, I actually, so I was sitting in the second row, so I was like chilling with the flight attendant, and I called her over and I showed her my phone, and I was like, heads up, this is not going to happen. And she looked at it and she was like, oh yeah, that is not going to happen today. And then about half an hour later, we went back to the gate. and I went home.
Yep.
But while we were on the tarmac, that's when I said that scene with the crazy business and the half-hour increments and everything from 30 Rock. Well, that almost happened.
Oh.
Excuse me. Because the flight attendant did a drink service. It was just, handed out waters. And one of the passengers, who was like a businessman, was getting kind of antsy. And he was like, "Can we just head back to the gate, blah, 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 blah." And eventually he asked the flight attendant, "Hey, can you ask the captain to head back to the gate right now?" And she was like, "I can do that after I am done with my drink service." And he said, "How long is that going to take?" And she said, "About half an hour."
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what happened.
That's beautiful. That's something special right there. Yeah, so yeah, I flew recently. I flew from here in LAX over to Reagan, the DCA. I flew to there, and then I flew from DCA on probably a plane very similar to yours, Nelson, to Hartford, which I was very confused upon getting to the Hartford airport because you live in like Los Angeles or in New York or Boston, and you're like, okay, there's the airport, and then there's the city like right next to it, right? Because that's how it works in a nice compact space. I was figuring, hey, all right, cool, get to the airport, there's a shuttle, and there's no shuttle. The airport is actually a good far away from Hartford, but on my trip to DCA from Los Angeles, this big kerfuffle with Delta happened, and all of their planes are like delayed for 3 hours. It was crazy. We were supposed to get to DCA very early in the morning. We ended up getting there less early in the morning. I guess it would have been later, but they gave us free TV and movies, and that's how I watched the Avengers movie, the Age of Ultron. And a wee little tiny back of the headrest airplane screen thing.
See, this is about the time you want to be pulling a rim and fucking playing Civ 5 on your laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to, but my laptop was stowed.
Hell, if you're taking it
in my check
you
luggage.
even might have time for a whole game.
I was reading and I was watching television. Top Gear was on the TV as well, so I watched a bit of that. But what I really liked, and this is going to sound really strange, I really liked the airplane safety video. That was pretty cool.
Virgin's is energetic.
Energetic, huh?
To say the
It's
least.
really fun the first time you watch it, and you're like, "Oh wow, they're actually doing something fun." And then the fifth time, you're like, "Okay, it's time for the safety video." And then the 10th time, you're like, "Why are there fuckers in seats next to me singing along with this video? What the fuck?"
What?
Yes, that happened when I flew to Seattle.
Did you have co-passengers? Did you have co-passengers that flied enough that they're singing along to the video?
Yeah, they were really into it. They're like, "Oh, it's time for the safety video," and they started singing along.
Damn.
See, that's why we have videos now. Nobody wants to listen to it when it's a fucking person.
Yep. I do think it was kind of weird, the United one, because it was the entire time they made an effort for it to show all the safety things without like showing it on the plane. Like for buckling your seatbelts, they showed a flight attendant getting into a cab in New York and buckling a seatbelt that's clearly an airplane seatbelt, and yet somehow attached to a yellow cab. It was very weird. And then for the safety exits, to show the diagram of the actual plane you're going to be on, they had this really beautiful Japanese woman in like a tea house kind of deal. She demonstrated that she was making origami, and then she puts her hands down and like fiddles around like she's making origami. But then when she lifts up, it's like this, superimposed model of the plane. It was really...
She's just very handy with her fingers, man. You don't know.
Not that handy. That was a very fast bit of... that was a very fast transition. So.
Fucking next you're going to tell me that Tupac's really a hologram or some shit. Sorry, Nelson, you had a question.
A what?
You had a question, I believe.
Oh yes, so, Churba, you are knowledgeable in the aeroplanes.
Somewhat.
Indeed he is.
What is your take on the situation that happened to me yesterday? Wow, was it really yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't know. It happened to you, man.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Let's see.
First of all,
really...
Churba, how big of a plane did you were a flight attendant? How big of a plane did you ever attend on? Like full-size commercial 747 or like what?
The smallest I have worked on is a Fokker F100, which is small enough that the other flight attendant in the rear jump actually has to be a very small person. Otherwise, it's not going to fit. Because if you put giant-ass me next to a normal-sized person on those rear jumps, it's like trying to fucking cram 10 pounds of shit in a 9-pound bag. It ain't happening.
I actually saw... At JFK yesterday, I saw the largest passenger airliner.
Ooh.
It's some big-ass double-decker Airbus. It is big. Like, I looked out the window, and this massive... I was in the terminal with all the tiny little planes for the short commuter flights. And then this massive, like, behemoth comes rolling by... And I'm like, that can't be real. It looked like twice the size of a 747. It was ridiculous. And apparently it is like 1.5 times the size of a 747 or something crazy like that. But it is the full double-decker Airbus, giant Airbus.
I just had to check if something was still true, but yes, it is.
Is it the largest?
No, not quite. This is a much more boring fact. If you go to the Wikipedia page for the Fokker F100, one of the aircraft on that page is one of the aircraft I worked on.
Ah. Let's see this. Commence podcast Wikipediaing.
Well, for you guys, I conveniently added a link in the description. I think the audience, I'll just leave it a puzzle. But yes, your situation yesterday, to get back a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty normal, to be honest.
That is
really, I probably would have gone back earlier than that if possible, but maybe there was just not a gate open. Who knows?
Oh.
Maybe there just wasn't ground equipment to fucking get you guys out.
I don't think there was, because we still had flights coming in. Hence why we went off and parked in the... Like, it was behind all the construction area. Like, it was out of the way.
Yeah, parking area. Here's something interesting. Did you know that planes don't actually really lock that well? Like, the outer door has a pretty simple lock. There's no ignition lock or anything else like that. If you can get in and you know how to start a plane, you can fucking start one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Don't
and
do that. You will be shot.
Well, but you got the cabin bulletproof door. Just got to close that first to the cockpit.
In the event of you being shot, oxygen masks will descend from the ceiling. It won't help.
So here's a question: are there oxygen masks in the cockpit?
Yeah, they run off a different feed though. See, the
Hold
way
on,
it works
Nelson.
is
Nelson, wait a minute, Nelson. In the event of an emergency, oxygen masks will drop for all the passengers, but the pilots are screwed.
Well, because I look at a cockpit and I see a lot of screens on newer ones and a lot of dialy bits on older ones, and they go around and they go above you and they're like pretty much everywhere. So I don't know where you would fit an oxygen mask.
Whether you're the pilot or the co-pilot, depending, it is either immediately down and to your left or down and to your right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and it is not a mask like you have in the passenger cabin. It is actually a much different mask with actually a lot more room in the mouth, so you can talk and still get air control. It's got microphones and such in it,
Nice.
so you can still talk to control and things like that. And it is fed off a bottled supply rather than an oxygen generator, because all of the drop-down ones in the passenger cabin are run off little chemical generators. So if you pull that string, it is fucking going. It is all oxygen all the time, and nobody's stopping us. Which is why often when you see, not that you'll probably see it to be honest, but when you pull and start an oxygen generator in the passenger cabin when things are going down, that's why you often get quite a smoky burning smell in the cabin. It's because the dust on top of the generators is burning, because those things get really fucking hot. Yeah. And
What about the whole dentist office smell
jumps
in the cabin?
And they also have bottled supplies off the Scott bottles that you can use.
What about that really chemically dentist office kind of smell in the cabin?
That's a fresh plane smell.
Yeah, it's a new plane smell. We've got little air fresheners dangling from the rear view mirror and everything.
Oh yeah, is that so?
Actually,
fucking $8 million plane doesn't have a fucking rear view mirror.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Planes do back up, but it's usually with the whatchamacallit? Yeah.
They're being pushed with the pusher robot.
Yeah, the pusher
robot. It really makes you question why it's called a tug if they push.
Well,
I'm sure that they have tugged.
Wait a minute, no.
Also because they're named after the boat.
Yes.
Well, hold on a second. I'm thinking back. No.
Okay.
Every time I saw an airplane go into the terminal, not out of, it always came in under its own power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they come in under their own power, but when you back away from the gate,
you
are most often being pushed by a tug. Yeah.
Fun fact: you actually have to be really light on the throttle when you're going into the gate. Otherwise, you get an airplane situation.
Yes, and much like New Jersey, that's the kind of situation that you don't want to have around you. That was a really dodgy joke about the
No, it was good.
Burrito guys, but it just sounded like I was insulting New Jersey.
I think it works for both, and I think it's accurate for both.
I'm sorry.
I think even New Jersey insults New Jersey.
Yeah.
I didn't mind New Jersey, but then again, the last time I was in New York, I was either staying at a dodgy hotel or fucking Staten Island military base. So, sorry, naval base. Let's be specific, because there's more than one.
Aha.
But that is a long story for another time. So. But yeah, the thing is that when you're at a gate, if you could reverse on the tarmac in a plane, well, provided you're on an aircraft that has thrust reversers or the like instead of just standard air brakes, but most do, or a similar arrangement anyway. But if you were on, say, a commercial jet and you engaged the thrust reversers and then throttled up while you were at the gate, you would probably fucking just blow out every window right next to the terminal. Because those things put out a lot of force.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
I
trying to
saw
move a
this.
20-ton jet through the air. It's not going to be just a gentle and effete little...
You know what I miss? The last the last time I think I flew from Rochester to New York City one time, and it had a little propeller plane. That was fun. That was a different experience.
I have a rule. If the plane is small enough that the pilot feels comfortable wearing shorts instead of proper trousers, then you can fuck off and get me a real plane.
It was real small.
Well, actually, you were talking about the thrust reversers for the jet engine,
Yes.
and it reminded me there was somebody put out a video on YouTube about how they 3D printed a God, what the hell was that engine called? It was a GE Gen X 1B.
A 787-inch.
Yeah, 787 jet engine. And that thing went like a goddamn motherfucker. It was pushing around a skateboard and everything. It was amazing, and it looked super, super nice.
Yeah,
I'll put a link in
thrust
the chat.
reversers are actually really, really clever.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who thought them up off the top of my head, but they're fucking smart bit of kit. Because basically, obviously, when you've got a giant jet engine spinning at a couple of bajillion RPM, that's the technical measurement, you understand, you are obviously not going to just whack that puppy in reverse with the stick shift and just start fucking spinning rubber backwards. No.
And sometimes they
Basically,
can't even be made to go backwards just because of the aerodynamic design of the turbo fins thing going on.
Exactly. They go one way. That's that. But a thrust reverser is basically a bunch of vanes that come in and block the exit of the engine, so where all it would normally exhaust. Technical terms, obviously.
That's
No,
an
that is not the
actual
proper
technical
description.
term this time.
But yes, it basically throws these vanes in front of the exhaust and opens out another area for the exhaust to come out, so that now your thrust is going forward instead of backward, and that is how planes brake when they hit the runway. Because if you stomped on the foot brakes, because they do actually have brakes on the landing gear, if you stomped on those brakes, you would just blow out a tire like that.
Yep. Let's see. One little tire brake versus what? How many ton plane? What is this?
You say little, but those tires are fucking big.
But compared to the plane.
Well, compared to the plane, they're relatively small, but
Yeah. Well, yeah. It'd be like putting bicycle brakes on a Ford F-150. It's not gonna fucking work.
I'm pretty sure that's what they already have. Fucking American engineering.
But if you want to get a nice visual of those, the thrust reverser, there's a link in the show notes for the model 787 jet engine, which does have thrust reversers, and it does show how it works. So you can get a nice visual looking at that, and it is such a cool little thing too.
Right. Any further questions?
All the proper. I don't know. What do you think? Well, you never answered. What was the biggest plane you've been on? You'd said the smallest one.
Oh yeah, I never got around to the end of that, did I? I was too busy looking at that fucking Wikipedia page. Let's see. The biggest plane I have worked on is a 747. The largest plane I have been on is a fucking Airbus A380.
Ooh.
Ooh, you've been on one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are they like on the inside? Because that thing looks like a steamship.
Hey, the weird thing
With all
is-
the rich people on the top layer and all the riffraff on the below deck.
Yeah, the first, the top front is the first class cabins, and then the second class is in the top back, and then
There's
the
a
riffraff
bar.
you can get the lower levels.
The
'Cause
weird
they
thing
say
Yeah,
is,
have a
first.
bar on it.
like,
Fancy.
When I first walked in, I'm just like, wow, this is a brand new plane. This is dead fancy. But size-wise, my brain just went, oh yeah, no, this is 747 size. But after I've been in there for a little bit, I was just like, started noticing all the small differences where it's like, oh, this should be, oh, that's a bit far over, isn't it? Oh no, wait, this is a bigger plane. Shit, this plane's big. It's the small details that just kept going. This plane's big, fucking big.
Big.
Sadly, I wasn't able to visit the top deck on that occasion because I wasn't able to secure a flight that one of my mates was working on. Yeah, that was when I flew Emirates back from England. So.
Ah. But it's the Emirates that has the fancy bar going on in there.
Emirates got fancy everything, believe me, son.
Although I think now, arguably, the fanciest planes are the Virgin Airlines planes.
Which
They're like first-class pod people pods.
That's not what pod people mean.
No, I know. It's just they have pods.
Virgin Atlantic uses Virgin America. I think uses like 737s or the Airbus equivalent, maybe like a mid-sized. A hatchback?
Probably an Airbus. Just at a guess. I don't know what planes they fly off the top of my head in the States.
Yeah, it looks like the Virgin Atlantic uses a lot of 747s, 787, and a bunch of Airbuses. What does 3 cabin mean?
I'm sorry?
There's this Airbus A330, and it says 3 cabin.
Oh.
It's got
3 cabin service basically means that you've got economy, business first. To my
I see. Yeah. Oh, this looks not fun.
They're not actually separate, unless you count a curtain as being separate.
No, the economy class with the 2 and then the 4 and then the 2 with the 2 aisles.
Yeah.
Those are not fun.
It's so interesting to see how giant these planes can get. And then kind of look back and realize that, well, not even like 200 years ago, we were
not even 100 years ago.
Not even? You sure about that?
Commercial passenger airlines?
No, not commercial. I mean like planes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like not even 200 years ago, we had.
Not even 120 years ago. Then.
Okay, fine. 120. Somebody's been Wikipediaing.
No. 1900 fucking is the Wright brothers.
1900 fucking, huh?
1900 something.
Fine, let's go with 1900 fucking.
Back in
1900 fucking, we had planes made out of wood and sheets and steered using like physical cables from things in the front. We could barely fly them, like 150 feet. And it was amazing! And now we have giant-ass air whales going through the sky.
I was incorrect.
Like
it was actually 1903.
Miles an hour. What?
It was actually 1903.
Fine, 1903. Not even 150 years. Giant-ass air whales flying through the air at like 300 miles an hour.
500.
500 miles an hour, fine. Because we want them to. Because we don't want to take a wagon from one place to another. And that's
we could be flying through the air at like Mach 1.2. Bad. I miss.
No, there's no need. There's no need for the Concorde.
No need, but it was so nice from a purely like this is the future perspective.
I'm so sad I never got to ride in a Concorde. Well, except for one particular Concorde, that would have been a bit of a problem.
Jeremy Clarkson, in his book, hang on,
just don't visit France.
So
All the
Jeremy
Concords
Clarkson,
outside
in
of
his
France are great.
in
Oh,
his
yeah.
books,
Oh.
I Know You Got Soul, he really, really laments the Concorde. Like, he's got like full color pages all about the Concorde in this book. He really
I've
loved
even
it.
got that one Concorde I wouldn't want to fly on.
Yeah. She crashed
Actually,
2
fun
minutes.
fact, Vic, if you hold up that picture again, yeah, that's what my ass looks like after a Vindaloo bender.
Airplanes. They are cool. They are great.
They
We
are
like them
indeed.
very much.
Also, here's an essential
great.
skill if you're a young aspiring flight attendant. Learn how to fart silently.
Yeah, what was that?
Because
What did you call that again? Had a very good word.
I'll get to that in a sec. When you get up in the air, the lower pressure means that basically gas expands, including the gas in your guts. And that's got to go somewhere. It ain't coming up, it's going down. So basically, you learn the trick of releasing a little bit of fart with each step, just like. Yeah, exactly. It's like the Jetsons car. Probably how the Jetsons car was powered. Very futuristic. But no, this is a practice called crop dusting because you are evenly dusting your farts across the field.
Maybe that's the smell.
Also, that's part of the smell. If you pack like 300 to 500 fucking humans in a tube where they're all going to be sitting there breathing and farting and sweating and burping and doing other
I'm never
such
going on a plane again.
things. Oh,
Yeah.
you think no? Being on a plane is probably the better place to be. The place you don't want to be is on the sky bridge when they open the door on arrival. The wave of sheer fucking
Whoosh.
poisonous funk that just rolls out like a fucking. It's like the fog when the crypt keeper opens the goddamn door in those old TV specials. It's fucking horrifying. You cut it with a fucking chainsaw and serve it up like cheesecake.
Well, that's where airplane food comes from.
Oh, what, Nelson? That's just messed
Actually,
up.
I can't make any airplane food jokes anymore because on pretty much all domestic flights there is no more airplane food. And
Yeah.
on the international flights, it's not the worst. It was. I don't think there are any dishes, and I could be wrong. I don't think there are any dishes on international flights that are as bad as domestic American airplane food was in like the late 90s.
In fact, I'll guarantee you that is possibly some of the worst food in the world. I would rather eat an MRE than
Oh, yeah.
fucking mid-90s American airline food.
You know what? I recently went on a very long train journey, and by very long I mean like a few hours. It wasn't, it wasn't like 6 hours.
Wasn't a sleeper car?
No, it wasn't sleeper car. Although I could have gone on a sleeper train, but no, I went on a 3-hour train journey from right near my house in Chatsworth to San Diego, and that was a fantastic experience. It was great. Compared to my plane trip, while the plane was able to get me from point A to point B, comparatively, fantastically faster. Comparing 300 miles to thousands of miles, 2.5, 3,000 miles.
Hmm?
I think I would much rather take a train across the country than take a plane.
Well, here's my
So much better
travel.
of an experience.
Here's
We got
how
free
I.
wine on the train. We got free wine.
That's true.
It was great. Free
Um,
wine, free food.
Here's my travel plans, generally speaking. This is my travel heuristic. If it is less than 4 hours, I will take a train or bus, maybe. I hate buses so much.
Yeah.
But I will take a train or a Bolt bus or something. So, when I go to PAX East, just take the Bolt bus because it's $15. And it's about 4 hours. If it is longer than 4 hours, I will take a plane all the time. Because on the East Coast, Amtrak, for anything greater than around 4 hours, it is about the same price as a flight, and it is any flight on the East Coast is about an hour. Like New York to DC, it's about an hour. New York to Rochester, it's about an hour. It's actually about like 45 minutes, and then there's taxing and stuff.
Okay.
Like any plane trip that is less than a 10-hour drive away is effectively instantaneous. Because most of the time is getting to the airport and like taking off and doing the little circly loop-de-loo, waiting to land. Like the actual time in flight is always like half an hour.
Actually, I have a question for you. It's from the air to the ground this time. Does MTA really stand for motherfuckers touching my ass?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, even so, I mean, I'm with you on your heuristic. I think it's good, and I think it's right now with current technology and routes and everything, I think it's fine. And economics-wise, it's pretty good too. I mean,
it's the same price. An 8-hour train ride and a half-an-hour plane ride are literally the same price. What the fuck is Amtrak doing?
I don't know.
Controlling the fucking market. That's what.
Now,
but I mean, if I had money to burn, I would much rather take like a 2-week-long train journey from Los Angeles to, say, New York. Take a 2-week-long train journey.
See, you say that, but what is the longest train journey you've ever taken? Because after about like 8 hours, it starts getting to you.
No. I mean, longest train journey I've taken was that one. It was like 3.5, 4 hours.
Oh, that's like a jaunt.
No,
that's a day. That's a stroll.
Right. But the 2-week-long train journey, you stay at hotels during the process. It's not like the train is constantly going. You go and then you stop in Seattle.
Unless you're riding a Snowpiercer train. Then the train never stops.
No, the train never stops.
But I would
stop in Seattle, and then you go and you stop at like some beautiful vistas in some town somewhere, and then you go and you stop in Chicago, and then you finally get to New York.
I would take a 2-week-long train journey if I was taking it rich person class, whatever the richest class there is with private, everything.
Well, at that point, you're taking a train cruise, so
yes.
You are already in pretty rich person class.
That's true.
That point.
But I would also only take it if the train itself was fancy.
Oh, I think these trains are fancy. Hold on, let me look it up.
Like, if it is a train where you see it and you're like, there are rich people on that train, then I would take it. If it's like a regular Amtrak, whatever, then no.
No.
Also, my heuristic will hopefully be rendered null and void if we ever get high-speed rail on either of the coasts.
Yeah. What I want is high-speed rail going like straight from L.A. straight across the country to like New York or
just need
even one of the Virginias.
Oh, this is a good campaign strategy. Hillary Clinton. East Coast high-speed rail, West Coast high-speed rail, intercontinental high-speed rail.
Yes.
Yeah, intracontinental high-speed rail, rather.
Intercontinental ballistic train cars.
Make an H across the country, That would be a project that I would get behind.
Yeah. Apparently, there's actually some talk of building the Tesla Hyperloop out here instead of in the States.
That would also be good.
Because we just have so much more space to put it in that nobody really owns or is terribly bothered about.
All right. Well, I think we've kind of exhausted the plane conversation because we're moving into train, and that's a completely different subject,
Okay.
which we're going to save for another episode.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
Here's my hottest flying tip, short of become a flight attendant, because those security passes get you fucking everywhere. Anyway, the hottest tips are pack light, as Nelson does. Good work, Nelson. Golf clap. Be nice to the flight attendants. Smiles, pleases, thank yous, mind your P's and Q's, do what they say, and not just because not doing what flight attendants say is literally a federal crime. Fun fact. We can arrest you too. Yeah. Fucking call me a sky waitress, you prick. Also, here is the fucking real king killer. You fucking go and get, those assortment boxes of like kind of decent chocolates, like a box of Lindt balls or, shit like that?
Yeah.
About the $10 range, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Grab one of those, and as you're stepping onto the plane, just hand it over to the lead flight attendant and just say, oh, here's for you guys, thanks for what you do, and then carry on and go and get your seat. They will remember your face. They know who you are. It may not always get you good things, but it will always certainly get you an easier experience because the flight attendants will be doing anything they can to help you out. But the thing is that don't expect it. It might not happen.
Yeah.
And also, if you go in with that air of like, I'm expecting something in return for this, thanks for the chocolates, but you ain't getting shit.
Booyah.
I didn't know
So
giving
just-
flight attendants chocolates was a thing.
Yeah. Well, chocolates, snacks, whatever sort of thing you would give to a group of people as a small token gift.
Bottle of wine?
No.
Oh, we've got plenty of those already.
Yeah.
I actually know if it has, like those chests that you put at the end of your bed as like a decorative thing?
When I was a kid, that was an actual chest that I actually used.
Yeah.
It wasn't decorative.
Yeah, that's exactly, well, as opposed to just having a flat box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, she had one of those, and she had been working for longer than I was when I knew her, but by the time she retired, she had one of those in her house that was just literally full of fucking mini bottles. She could have
That
catered
is-
1,000 tiny parties with that shit. It was amazing.
Tiny parties. Tiny little bitty parties. All right. Well, this is a good episode, but
bring it
let's
in
see
for
where we are. We're at 49 minutes, give or take in. We have two questions in the Q&A, both from a viewer named Madeline Jackson. First one says, "Hi." Hi.
Not a question, but hi.
Hello.
It was. I answered it already. Well, in the Q&A thing. The second one is, do you like Jasper from Steven Universe? Yes. Churba has no opinion because he hasn't yet seen Steven Universe.
Which one's
I
Jasper?
Nelson. There
I
you
have
go.
seen
Okay.
the first handful of episodes.
Hold on
Okay.
a sec.
Well,
Let's
you
see.
have quite a bit to catch up on.
Yes. Also, I would like to apologize to Miss Jackson because I am in fact for eels.
I was hoping you'd say that. This motherfucker's got a gem for a nose.
Yeah.
Okay, considering that when I googled for this character, it came up with a lot of fan art that I presume is gender swapped. It's just that I don't know which one is and isn't.
No, hang
gender
on.
swapped.
Hang on.
What is the character's name?
No, I'm Googling for it. No, Nelson, if you're gonna watch the series, don't Google for it. No,
Okay.
all the fan art I'm seeing here is not gender swapped. This is all. She's just a very, very burly character.
Is
Oh,
she the
okay.
one with this?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have
With
no
the
idea. But
helm,
I like
with
the character
Yeah.
the
design.
helmet thing.
Very,
Yeah.
I like the character design. It's very like 80s cartoon action barbarian hero person.
Yeah,
I
she
like it.
is very aggro.
And plus, here's a secret. I kind of like that big buffy hair thing going on. It's
The
nice.
big poofy hair is the best. She's got this just like it's everywhere. It's great. Alrighty then. Well,
Why is
that
she grabbing
was
this person by the face for? Don't be grabbing people by the face, lady. That's not cool. Lapis.
she
Don't grab
does.
this Lapis
Yeah,
bird
well,
by the face. It's
like I
rude.
said, she's super aggro. Anywho, well, I guess that's that. Do you guys have anything you want to plug?
Play Rocket League.
Yes.
Play Rocket League.
Rocket
Okay.
This is superliminal messaging. Play Rocket League.
Superliminal message. Okay.
Rocket League tip of the week. Practice your aerials and other assorted things, not in the practice mode, but in exhibition matches versus bots, because it better simulates the conditions of a real match. And
Mhm.
Ah.
unlike a real match, even in the unranked mode, you're not going to have a shower of idiots trying to aerial and failing, knocking you out of the way, because the AI can't fucking handle aerials.
Also, very good beginner tip for aerials. Come at it from the bottom of your car. Don't try to hit it with the nose of your car. You will
Yes,
not hit it.
Aim with your center of gravity, the point that your car rotates around. Otherwise, you will miss like a clown, and everybody will laugh at you, like ha 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 ha.
Ha ha ha.
No,
All right.
ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha. Okay.
A little bit faster
My,
at the end, but you get there. We'll workshop it.
Okay. Anyways, my pick for you guys is a video of a dude who has done an animation in his notebook and has set it to September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's a nice little 15-second video. Very funny because there is butts involved. And,
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
I do have an actual plug, by the way, as opposed
okay
to
then.
just play Rocket League, because that's
Rocket
less of a
League.
plug and more just good life advice.
Ah.
But yes, you may have heard me mention before the Box Fox plush toys, along with the Cube Bear.
Yeah.
And the Takoyaki Carp. I can't pronounce it still. Like Sam's told me how to say it, but anyway. Basically, Mamath's Mamath Moderno, the store that you bought them from, has a shed load of new stuff in it. So you should check that business out and buy many things, because it's all good stuff.
Yep.
And
Buy
plus, like,
things.
come on, look at that art. That art is fucking adorable and gorgeous, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Buy things from our friends. At some
Yes,
point, we will
rampant
have things. We
consumerism.
ourselves will have things for you to buy. I don't know. Do you guys think we should make like T-shirts?
I don't know what we'd put on them.
Hands
I
up,
don't
not
know.
I actually do want to plug something. I have a T-shirt that is DJ Pusheen that Charlotte got me.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Holy
pretty
shit.
sweet. It's
Oh,
That's
it's,
adorable.
it's
That's
excellent.
amazing.
Someone, I don't know
That's
who,
adorable.
if it was actually Facebook or the original designer or who, but they printed out T-shirts with all the different Pusheen, and they were kind of adorable.
Okay.
Apparently
Alrighty then.
it's
Well,
from a
that's the
webcomic.
show.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Pusheen is a webcomic. Yeah.
Claire
Alrighty then. Well, that
Wellington and
is
Andrew
the show. Thank you to Nelson and Cherba, and you will hear from us next week.
I fucking love it.
On Friday Night Party Line.
Thank you, Nelson. I was trying to be nice for you, Cherba. I was trying to be
Okay.
nice.
I appreciate it.